All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. I am Robert McNamara. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales at Basic Coatings. And our presenter today is Phil Pitts, who's out of New England. He's our New England Mid-Atlantic sales rep. Today's Phil's birthday. Happy birthday, Phil. Quite the birthday present to have you online today. This agenda is pretty straightforward. We try to keep it to 20 minutes or under. We start with a video, which I'll present, and then we'll turn it over to Phil for some brief discussion points and presentation. And between those two, that's about 10 minutes, and then it leaves us about 5 to 10 minutes for questions or answers. If those of you that have my cell phone number, if you want to send me, text me some questions if you can't figure out how to do it on Zoom. I'll give you my cell number. It's 216-633-4124. So while Phil's talking, if you guys have any questions or when the video is playing, if you have any questions, just text them or do it through Zoom. And that's the agenda. We should be done in 20 minutes. So let me see if I can figure out how to get up this video and then we'll get going.
Raw Sealer is a pre-catalyzed, toned, water-based sealer designed to maintain the natural dry appearance of white oak and reduce tannin pull. Raw Sealer features a wet sealer indicator hue, which allows the installer to easily see where product has been applied to ensure proper application and coverage throughout installation. Raw Sealer was designed with white oak in mind and can be used for any residential or commercial wood flooring application seeking a natural or raw-looking white oak floor. Raw Sealer top coated with a Basic Coatings 2-component finish is suitable for even the most high-trafficked and abused floors. Raw Sealer contains white pigment and is therefore not recommended for use over stain or paint, as it will change the color. If using Raw Sealer is still desired, allow stain or paint to dry per manufacturer's directions or longer, depending on environmental conditions. As always, prior to beginning a project, apply in an inconspicuous area to test and become familiar with your complete application method to ensure satisfaction with the product. Since Raw Sealer contains a small amount of a white pigment, which over time can settle at the bottom of the container, it is important to rock the container several times to thoroughly mix and redisperse any settlement. Set it aside for approximately 10 to 15 minutes to allow any bubbles to break. During application, stir the product from time to time to prevent settling. Prepare the floor using NWFA sanding procedures. Raw Sealer can be applied with a trim pad, paint pad, or T-bar, but applies best with a premium 3/8-inch microfiber roller out of a tray or bucket. To achieve a dry look on white oak, apply 1 coat of Raw Sealer, followed by 2 coats of any clear matte Basic Coatings water-based finish. If a whiter tone or additional tannin resistance is desired, add a 2nd coat of Raw Sealer, followed by 2 coats of any clear Basic Coatings water-based finish. 3/8-inch microfiber roller is the preferred applicator. A T-bar, roller, or paint pad can also be used. It is recommended to apply your first coat of finish within 24 hours after applying Raw Sealer, prior to buffing or abrading the floor. Finish with another coat of Basic Coatings water-based finish. Important tip: to ensure a well-finished project, do not apply Raw Sealer too thickly. Also, work to consistently even out the product on the floor. Any areas not spread out consistently may result in a whiter appearance. Raw Sealer will yield a coverage rate of approximately 450 to 550 square feet per gallon. Wood species, sanding procedure, and number of coats will determine actual coverage rates. Remember, thinner coats are best, and don't apply too thickly. Be sure to cover proper maintenance of the wood floor with the customer. A surefire way to know that they are cleaning their floors properly is to provide a squeaky maintenance kit. Squeaky cleans hardwood floors without the residue left behind by other detergents. You can price the kit into your job or offer as an add-on. Here are some tips to make your Raw Sealer application go smoothly and result in a professionally finished wood floor. Shake Raw Sealer very thoroughly to mix any settlement, and allow it to sit for at least 15 minutes. This allows any foam or bubbles to dissipate. Applying with a roller out of a tray or bucket is preferred. This offers the applicator greater control over how much product is being applied to the floor. Apply Raw Sealer to a coverage rate of 450 to 550 square feet per gallon. Avoid applying thick coats. Work Raw Sealer to a uniform appearance. Don't be afraid to back roll and spread smoothly and evenly. Failure to do so may result in areas with a whiter appearance. Stir raw sealer from time to time when applying. Thank you for your interest in raw sealer, the best solution to achieve and protect the look of a raw-looking white oak wood floor. Please go to basiccoatings.com or call us at 1-800-441-1934 for more information or to speak with a Basic Coatings representative.
There you go.
Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can. So I'm going to start. I'm going to block my face so I can read some of these questions coming in. Go ahead, Phil.
All right, so I'm going to move that out of the way. So just a review, what is raw sealer? For those of you that are familiar with lock and seal, raw sealer is really just a whitened version of lock and seal. So it's a clear tannin blocking sealer that's designed to stop color change caused by tannic acids in white oak, and red oak also has tannic acid as well. So like lock and seal, it's especially good for white oak. But unlike lock and seal, raw sealer will eliminate that wet look or that coated look that you see when we put a traditional finish over sanded wood. The intention here is for this sealer to almost provide the look of an uncoated floor. If we put 2 coats of raw sealer down, then we begin to get like a pickled or a whitened look, which is also super popular. So I'm just going to show you a couple pictures of. Okay, so here's raw sealer applied in a couple coats, and you can see we have a kind of a whitened look on this white oak floor. And this is raw sealer top coated with PureMatte, which is like it's basically a version of street shoe with zero gloss and a light build. And here's raw sealer used with 1 coat and just top coated with Easy Street Super Matte, just for a natural, uncoated looking floor. So you can kind of get a feel for what that looks like. And just my 4th slide here. I think we covered most everything in the video, but roller application seems to be best. A thin, even coat using a 3/8 microfiber roller. Both raw sealer and lock and seal, if you haven't used lock and seal yet, they contain an optical indicator. That's my term for it. It has a blue or a pinkish appearance, almost a violet appearance when it's wet. But that allows the applicator to see any places that he may have missed, or because if you have a place on the floor that you missed, when you go back and put a coating over it, you're going to have a dark spot, or you're going to have a spot that looks different than everything else. So it's important not to miss any spots. Another important fact I like to add is that it's really not best to buff raw sealer, or lock and seal for that matter. Put a coat of finish down first, and then do your first buffing and remove any grain race. And that's about it. It's a pretty short presentation. At this point, we'd like to take questions.
All right, Phil. Kind of funny, some of the questions that were coming in, you were talking about, but I was kind of reading the questions, and so I might be asking you stuff that you just got done saying. So one of the questions that came up was, why should we use why do we emphasize clear finish over raw sealer in the video?
Well, in most cases, the look that we're trying to achieve is a natural, either a whitened look or an unfinished look. Just a very clean, clear look. If we used an ambering finish, like say our Emulsion Pro, in time it's going to discolor. In very short time, it's going to amberize. It's going to get that honey tone, and that nice clear look is going to turn more into a traditional old traditional oil look. So that would be why I would recommend just the clears.
Okay. And then another question was, some of the competitive products out there are, 2 or 3 applications of the same finish. What's the advantage to this being a sealer as opposed to a finish?
Well, the advantage is one advantage is price. If you can do one coat of sealer versus a $90 a gallon finish coat that's going to get soaked into the wood, it's price wise, there's an advantage. And the other advantage is the tannin blocking and the color blocking and just locking in the color of that wood. So, yeah.
Okay. And then another question is, what is the good, better, best options for a raw seal application?
In terms of what?
I think they're asking about finishes.
So I'd say good, better, best is, raw seal, and it all depends on the look that you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve a very flat, zero gloss look, the option is PureMatte. If you're trying to just achieve a floor that has a very natural color, and you can tolerate some gloss, then you could go, on a better or best scenario would be street shoe would be the best. Street shoe satin, street shoe super matte. For a better would be the one component easy street satin or super matte.
Okay. And then one of the questions was, why is this better than some competitive products? And I kind of like to jump in there kind of to add on to what you just said there. So, in my mind, you've got a sealer, which again does give you that price advantage as far as what you're using on the project. But, you have a good, better, best scenario. So if you have a contractor that is looking for the look of that raw white oak, but then they're used to using easy street or they're used to using street shoe, they're not using, they're not learning a whole new application method. So you're really just, putting down, if you're familiar with lock and seal, putting down lock and seal, and then using your typical finishes on top. So, you don't have to retrain your guys. You don't have to retrain yourself. And you end up with options to your customer as far as good, better, best goes. Next question is, can I braid the first coat of raw sealer to address grain raise?
We would not. It would almost be like a braiding stain. We don't want to braid through the sealer and cause color inconsistencies or cause a dark spot. Would prefer that you put a coat of finish on it, now braid your grain raise, and that way you don't have to worry so much about burning through your sealer coat.
Okay, next question is it too white when you use 2 coats of raw sealer?
Is it too white? I don't think so. So that it would look sort of something like in this picture here. It's not a super heavy stained white look. I wouldn't even call it a super heavy pickled look, but there is a whitish appearance that that many find desirable. I think many home builders are shooting for that look. It seems to be a popular look on coastal properties in particular.
Another question is, can you use raw sealer on other species?
Sure, you can use raw sealer on red oak. You can use it on maple. You probably wouldn't want to try to use it on something like Brazilian cherry, because it would be, the white would be a contrast, and it probably wouldn't fit well. But sure, ash, European white oak, maple, any sort of clear, light-colored species, even pine, it looks decent on even like wide pine.
Yeah, you mentioned something about going over red oak. I work with a contractor here in Cleveland that actually did a couple projects where he used 2 coats of raw sealer on red oak to try to make it look like white oak. So, I mean, I think like, contractors walking into a house would, know that it's red oak, but this was a, oil modified red oak floor that was down for 30 years. And the change was dramatic. And, the homeowners knew that it wasn't going to be like white oak, but it wasn't too far from the picture that you have there. Again, a professional would see the pink, but most people didn't. Most people aren't going to notice the difference. What about, can you use raw over stain?
We generally do not recommend raw over stain. It may be fine over something like a hypertone white stain, but over any type of a brown stain, it's gonna make a contrast that is not going to be desirable. You're going to see any place where it's thinner or thicker, and any differences in thickness are going to be very obvious. So yeah, we probably wouldn't recommend it over typical brown stains.
Okay. All right. We have a few other questions, which I can see who's asking the questions, so I'll follow up with them after the webinar. I want to stay on time, which is 20 minutes or under. But before we go, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And I do want to take the time to remind everybody we're having the Floor of the Month, Floor of the Year contest. Contractor, all he's got to do is hashtag WoodFloorProud on Instagram, and they automatically are entered. If they win the monthly contest, they're automatically entered into the Floor of the Year contest. Floor of the Month, you get $250 worth of free basic coatings materials. And we actually have two contests going on. One's a sport contest and the other one's commercial residential. Commercial residential, they get I always forget the name of the saw. Phil, what is it? Can't remember.
It's Festool.
Festool.
Right?
Festool saw.
Festool fence saw kit.
Yeah, I can turn around and read it if I had to. And then the other one is for the sport, they get a taping and game line paint arm. So with that, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Happy birthday, Mr. Pitts. And everybody stay safe out there. And thanks for joining us today.